why am I here? Why am I singing? Why?
Ah.
The why.
The why, yes.
The
So
whys,
good.
right? The whys. And then when you are clear about why you are doing it, then this thing will follow, you know?
The success will follow.
And then you
will
will
follow.
feel enough, actually.
You will feel enough.
Please subscribe and turn on your notifications to stay tuned to the latest updates at the Powder Room Talk.
Hello, I'm JJ Liu. Welcome to the Powder Room with me and my girlfriends Viola Mananta and Regina Wijaya. The Powder Room is where we get real, and today we're going to talk about success is not simply what you do. Joining us is my good friend and someone who is a little sister to me, AngelPieters. Angel started her singing career at the young age of 10 when she won the gold medal in World Choir Games in China. In 2007, she won in singing competitions back home that established her child star status, and by 2011, she was working with big music industry names like David Foster. The now 23-year-old Angel is a budding entrepreneur working on a fashion clothing line called Litty. In 2020, Angel was chosen by Prestige Indonesia as one of 40 under 40 for her contributions. We women, like Angel, wear so many different hats and play so many different roles both professionally and in our private lives, but we often forget to take credit or acknowledge our contributions, especially to the non-professional ones. So let's come on into the Powder Room and unpack this topic together. So, welcome to the Powder Room, Angel.
I think this is my first time actually meeting Angel.
I think this is our first time.
Our
but
informal.
I feel like I've seen you somewhere.
Maybe we've met some of the events.
I'm pretty sure. Because
Yes.
her face is so familiar.
Or maybe I've heard her singing. I think in so many events that I've attended. So it must be
Yeah.
great. So thank you so much for coming here
My
again,
pleasure.
meeting with
Thank
us.
you so much.
We're having absolutely delicious pastries from Chicory today. And look at these beautiful plate from Chris's home. This coffee is from Kopi Kren, and they have a great selection of iced and hot coffees and nicely roasted luwak coffee beans that we prepared as drip coffee today.
So I'm actually really excited that we talk about identity today. And that is actually why we have Angel here, because Angel, she wears so many hats, I would say. She, especially now you're even moving into entrepreneurship. And I think the first time I met you, it's been a few years ago. And you were just working on your singing career. And I just want to, I mean, most of our viewers here, I think, know you as a singer. But I bet there's so much more to Angel. And I would just like to know, or maybe you can share with us, who are you? Like, you know, how do you see yourself?
Ultimate
And-
question.
Yes.
Who are you?
All right. I'm a second born.
Oh, that's a good start.
Who's the second born here?
No, I'm the youngest.
So you guys
Our
can.
baby.
I think we're all, you're with
Yeah.
three
I
babies.
think we are three babies.
So you can really tell that I'm a very, I'm the most adventurous amongst my sisters.
So you're the second born out of how many?
Out of three.
Oh, that's true. Middle child.
I'm a middle child.
The middle
Yeah.
child.
Well, you're very
Different middle child?
anomaly from the typical stereotype of a middle child, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm the most like, both are my sisters are like, I'm a bit different.
So three of you are
I'm the middle
girls.
child.
So
Yeah.
three sisters.
Yeah, three sisters.
Okay.
And then I'm a singer, a full-time singer. And then on the side, I'm also doing this clothing line called Litty, and everyone is wearing it.
Love it.
Love it.
It's really,
Everyone
really
is wearing
nice.
it today.
Proudly wearing it.
And then, aside of singing, I'm also interested in entrepreneurship because I think that goes like together with my career. as a also singer in Indonesia. But I think it's good because I like to explore things. I think it's good to do like not just fixated with one thing, but also try new things and adapt with your situation. So I think the ability to do like different things in your life, I think it's good. It's me. So yeah, but most people just know me as a singer.
Yeah. I feel like in the past I've been shifting roles as well. I mean, I'm already 34. It's been a bit of a longer life.
Hello.
I feel like when I noticed that I'm taking on way more roles was when I was getting married, actually. And suddenly I was a wife, and that was a new role that I feel like with every new role we kind of have to learn it and get comfortable with it, and in the beginning it can be quite a shock, even though you chose it, but it can still be a shock finding out like, oh, this is actually how it really is, right?
I like getting comfort in my I like getting comfort in my discomfort.
I think that's really good.
And then I became a mother, and there was another big change of roles, but now I was like a wife and a mother, and at the same time I really struggled with like these two, because it kind of pushed aside all the business that I wanted to do. I thought I saw myself doing, because I had always had the dream of being like a businesswoman, and I studied, and and in my head I always thought like this is the goal. But then I also wanted to be married and have children, and then having all these roles at the same time was for me it was quite a struggle, and also I felt really uncomfortable at some times, and I felt like they were the roles were like overlapping, and then sometimes they were just in the way of each other, and it was like a bit of a fight for me. I don't know about you, Regina.
But you, if you ask, then how long have you been a wife actually? How long have you been married?
A bit more than 9 years.
A bit more than
More than 9 years.
And becoming a mom?
Mila is a little bit more than 8 years old now, yes. Yeah, so it's been quite a long time now, and I started early.
Yes. Yes.
Relatively early, especially for a European like me. I think, I don't know who's watching today, but in my culture, if you marry at 25, that's considered really early, and having children at 26 is an early thing. But here in Indonesia, I feel it's almost expected.
People are getting married at 21.
And if you're 30 and you haven't married yet, right? Like
Guilty.
I feel like when I was, 18, and like some of my friends who's like 19 and 20, like
Were they talking about?
when they
wanted to get married,
even me, like
oh wow.
when I was dating someone, and because I feel like you start having like serious relationship when you entered like 18, 19, 20, right? I mean, when you were in high school, that was just like a fling. What do you call it in Indonesia? Cinta monyet.
Cinta monyet.
Yeah. Like you don't even care about it.
Monkey love.
Yeah, and then you start thinking about kayak, what if he ask you to get married with you? And now I'm thinking about it again, like, that's still long way.
Yeah, but I think it's so true what you were saying. For me, when people ask me, who are you? Few years back, I will only say that I'm just a career woman. I was just a senior manager. Like I couldn't get out from my head, who am I? Besides becoming a general manager of a company. It was very difficult for me until probably 2 years ago, when I got a lot of revelation that outside of my job, I am actually someone. Sometimes we get attached to our job. So when people ask you, who are you? Oh, I am a general manager of this. Oh, I am owner of this company. Oh, I am a singer. Or maybe I am a coach. Or maybe I am a wife of. But then we tend to forget of who we are because we're so attached with what we do. That is the question that hit me a lot 2 years back. Then only after that, there was a voice inside me that was saying, Regina, you need to find who you truly are outside of your job. If you are losing your job, then who are you? Nowadays, I still have a job. I'm a general manager. I'm also an entrepreneur, so I started a lot of business 2 years back until now. And then, but then, sometimes you take on new roles. I'm also a daughter. I am a sister. I'm a friend. I am a girlfriend. That's a new role that I'm learning to take. It's not.
Yes, she's taken.
She's taking
I'm probably saying I'm a girlfriend of someone, That's a different role. But then again, what I've been thinking a lot in the past few years is really, if I lose my job, if I lose the things that I am doing, do I still have myself?
Yeah,
No.
and I really think that is like, when I'm hearing just now the three of you sharing, it's very evident that women have very many different roles. But, it sounds very stereotypical, but then we women are just so good at multitasking and flowing even in the overlapping roles that we forgot to acknowledge the ability to do that. We forget to give ourselves credit for the different roles that we play. And I guess an important question for us to ask, and even for the audience, is, do we think that the world influences us in such a way that makes us think that our identity or our value and what we can put on the table is often, like, it's based on your performance. It's based on what you do. You got to perform on something before you are somebody and before you are someone of value. And when you ask that question, what if I lose my job tomorrow? Am I still me?
Yeah,
and I
true.
think that is one thing we often forget, that we can be successful in many different roles that we
Or
play.
on the surface,
Yeah.
probably. We can be successful based on the world's view or based on what people think is successful. But then, again, like I said, if I lose it, now,
Yeah.
if the crisis came, then the company
Yes.
closed, then I lost everything.
That's what I actually experienced now. Like, I stopped singing for months. Even until the end of the year, there will be no normal gigs for me.
True. No performance.
At first, I was struggling, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning of this pandemic, I was struggling. Like, I used to go out of town every week, and then singing on stage every week, right?
Wow.
And then suddenly, I just it's gone.
It's gone.
Wow.
Right? It's gone, and God knows still when. Right? And then, at first, I kind of feel like I lose my
Yourself?
identity. Yeah, I lose myself.
Yeah.
Because I always viewed myself as a singer. But this is not the only first time that, I felt like this. Actually, I've been experiencing like a lot of issues with this to the point that I understand that, it's good. It's actually really good if you can adapt to your situation and be flexible. Like this, I'm basically a singer, right? But then I'm doing the clothing line.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to feel stuck in like, oh, singing is my identity.
Yeah.
Let's say,
Because it's just like a job.
it's just, but then something came or something happened and then you lose it. And I think it's not good if like, I feel like, oh, I'm losing my, I'm losing myself, I'm losing my identity, I'm not myself anymore, and blah, blah, blah. I think it's good, to adapt, to explore something new. And there's nothing wrong about that. But the world makes us think, and, they provide us a standardization of the definition of success.
Yes.
Like, you should be successful by this age. Like, for me, example, as a singer, when you pass 25, or let's say when you pass 30, then you cannot be in the industry anymore because the competition is too tough for you. Let's say something like that. And then, or even crazier, like some people, if you don't make it, let's say if you reach 25 and you still don't make it, then that means there's no more chance for you. Let's say something like that. Because as I mentioned before, I always grew up like, thinking, oh, I have to be a diva. Oh, I have to be a successful singer by this age. Blah, 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 blah. But it's life. Like, we'll never know what's going to happen in between, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of, standardizations and what the world provides us is it's so, you know, it could ruin you.
It's almost like boxing you and
Boxing
limiting you into identities, I guess, like, you know, think like, you know, you can only, a person can only be, you know, successful if you're wholly performing in this box that the world has set all these parameters. But I love just now what you were saying about how, you know, and thank you for that, because I think that moment of vulnerability that you shared here, that wow, at the beginning of the pandemic, you know, I thought I stopped singing and am I supposed to feel lost because that's my main gig? But I think what was, you know, revealed here, and as I was listening to you, it's like, wow, life is actually a journey, and look at this clothing line that you've made, and I believe it has to do with also being a journey of being a singer, being exposed to fashion, being exposed to, you know, the good things, and to create your eye. That has given you, you know, it's like a built up, you know, I almost feel like, you know, we journey through life where you experience things and they built up to who you are. It's never this one box, you know, I can only be successful, you can only be successful just because you're a singer, you know, or you can only stay a mom and you can only stay a wife, and that's how, you know, Viola is going to be successful, or Regina, you know, you can only climb the corporate ladder and that's the only way you can go about success. And I think, do you feel like, you know, or how do we actually get out of the boxes? What should we do to do that? Because I believe a lot of us are struggling with that, especially at this moment, right?
I personally think I put the box on myself. I'm not sure if it was my surrounding. I felt like it was rather myself and probably the way I grew up and I was raised and the education system I went through. And it was kind of in my head that I have to be successor in business. And I sacrificed a lot of things for that. I sacrificed my love for art because I thought studying art or fashion would be too feminine and too, you know, where's the career in this, right? And I didn't see that it was actually what I love to do. So I always thought, oh, I have to do business, you know, so I studied business. And it was not actually, I think, what was the best for me, but I had put it on myself. And so I grew into this, and then, but I also, when I was here in Indonesia, after having studied Asian studies and business, and I found myself here, I met my future husband here, right? And I also wanted to get married and have children. And when I found myself being married and having children, I really felt like I was failing at so many levels, because the box that I had put on myself and what I based my value on would be the identity as a businesswoman. And suddenly, I was trying to juggle that, and I felt like I cannot be the perfect mother that I also thought I had to be, and I cannot do the business perfectly at the same time, and I cannot be a perfect wife at the same time, and I had put all these expectations on me, and I was failing at so many different levels, and I feel like, sometimes we think, you know, that's another expectation. You can also think, no, but I have to be a businesswoman and a mother at the same time, but it might not be what actually is good for you at that moment. You know, everyone's different.
Yeah, right? We're built differently, right?
Yeah. So I felt like I was losing my identity, and I really struggled with it for a long time. And letting go of my business when I felt like, no, it's not good for me anymore. That was so hard, because when people would ask me, so what do you do? I would say, I'm a mom.
I love that question, because a lot of, especially maybe because see, when my childhood, I grew up, I'm a third cultured kid, right? So I was born in Singapore, raised in Singapore for a while, and then, you know, because of my family business, my parents moved me to Indonesia, and I went to, you know, Jakarta International School. Well, it's called Jakarta International School then. And you get exposed to this international world, and then I went to school in America, where, you know, in that setting, people don't come and get to know you like, you know, very common in Asia. That was one thing that I had culture shocked. When you try to make new friends, the first thing they go in Asia is, what do you do? and where do you live? It's like they're already profiling you.
That's typical Indonesian.
Yeah. Or actually
Like
even in
you're
Asia
based on where
too.
you live.
Yeah.
Based on where you
live,
live,
you're
Where
based
do
on
you
where.
go to school?
Yeah, your postcode, your college degree, and
Your school.
Oh,
Actually, they ask you.
It's just- and
No, I think about that. It's really funny.
Okay.
Because you can't really label people from
Yes.
where they live and what they wear.
yeah.
What they
Because sometimes
drive.
sometimes people can be really surprising. They can look like your driver, but like they have. But they have like
properties,
tons of
tons
properties and like
companies.
lots of money. You just never know. That's typical Asian.
And so like actually one of the things like we were talking about, that being boxed into expectations for myself is I recently, made this hard decision where I'm going to take a sabbatical from my family business. And so I took a sabbatical, a whole year off, and then to kind of, like I said, to really introspect and search myself on my own terms, on my own cost, And a lot of people immediately they think like, oh, because you work in a family business, so it must be easy that you just stop and work out. And I was like, no. You're at this age, you don't go be like, hi, can I get a stipend? You know what I mean? It's kind of embarrassing. You should be able to be independent, right? But to make that decision in Asia, I think in the process of making that decision, in my tradition or that I grew up with, it's a filial duty of children to kind of like, carry on a family legacy, whether or not you feel that sense of calling. Some people do excellent, and I did it for 15 years until I realized I was doing it because I love my parents, but is this really something that I
wanna do?
I want to do?
And called to do that.
And called to do that. And so when I took that break, all the partners of my parents, they indirectly in a very polite way are all telling me, I think you're out of your mind. Like you're very ungrateful
With your parents.
If I continue to live inside this little box, I might walk at the end of my road and realize that I never really used all the potential and the talents that I had. And I realized I always had, a heart for people, and I love, human capital development. And so I decided to become a professional life and business coach, a women's coach, an image coach. Now when people look at me, they still, obviously I'm part of the family. They think like I'm still, still taking the so-called prestigious, title of being a director. But no, there's so much angles and so much, sides to us. And I don't feel any less successful now that I don't walk around with a name card that says I'm a director.
So when you say sometimes we are not only boxed by other people's expectation, but our own expectation.
Correct.
I think that is harsher than any other
think
people's
so,
expectation.
yeah.
Is how you expect yourself to grow, how you expect yourself to be successful. I would be the opposite of JJ. We were telling the story because for me, since I was a kid, I knew I want to be a successful career woman. I walked past by Sudirman Street. I said, okay, one day I will walk in that building wearing a nice clothes. I got that. Everything I got it already, And but then I was talking to JJ one day. I said, but for me, very different with you is I always had a dream to work overseas or living overseas at that time. But then circumstances with my parents, my mom is sick and my dad now is getting old. Yes, I have siblings, but both of them are married, so I have to live with them. At that point, I was thinking, should I pursue my dream? Sometimes as a person, you have those kind of feeling like, they're my parents, but maybe I should live my life. Those kind of thing. But then I thought that I couldn't live with a regret that if something happened to them, that I won't be there. Even talking about it makes me very emotional. I was like, because sometimes people think that, for you to achieve your dream, you have to sacrifice a lot of things. Yes, it's true. But then maybe when you achieve your success, you will not be happy. I just thought that, that success feeling that, okay, I live in a beautiful apartment in New York, or I have live alone in Singapore and working in this successful company, and leave my parents or my family back in Indonesia. can I live with that? If something happened to them, can I live with that? And I thought at that time, no, I couldn't. I can never be able to live with that. So I decided at that time, okay, so I sacrificed what I wanted to do, and I stay back, and I'm happy. And no regrets. I mean, so meaning successful is different terms from everybody else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Every time I want to achieve something, like I always get it.
Yeah,
I always
achieve
get it.
it.
Like when my
Yeah.
mind says something, like
You
I
get
always
it.
get it. Yeah. Throughout my journey, as I mentioned before, I was always very ambitious about who I want to be. Since when I was a kid, I started singing when I was 5 years old, and I joined this, I joined that. I always win every competition that I went to. Like I'm always I'm always in first place. I always get what I want, and then I joined this competition on TV, and then even though I win second place, but still, you know, like I was so ambitious. Like, okay,
You're always seen.
I always
basically.
see, yeah. And since when I was a kid, I always know what I want to do, and I've always like, you know, by the time I reached 21, I gotta have my own album, and then by the time I reach like this age, I have to be, you know, a really successful singer. Like I put that
Milestones,
expectation,
right?
expectation
Set
about
standards also.
standards
Yeah.
on myself, right?
Yeah.
But then, you know, it's life, and then things happen. A lot of things happen in between. Like I get to experience, you know, the real life, you know, struggling, and then suddenly life is not as colorful, as it's not as, you know,
Beautiful,
as
as
Maybe it doesn't go as planned.
as
also,
planned,
right?
and not as easy as
Sounds like growing up.
it's not as easy as you think. Exactly, right? Because I started so early. So then I see things and I expect things to go like that way, right? But then I forgot that there are, you know, I grow up, then things happen, and then, you know,
Disappointments.
Heartbreak.
again, I felt like I was failing, like at some points, you know.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of peer pressure, even up until now. People are always saying like, hey, you know, your voice are so wonderful, like you have such an amazing talent. Why don't you make your own album? Why don't you make this? Why don't you make that? And then, you know, people can come up to me and say, you know, I think your management is really bad because they cannot, you know, make you someone, or the people that too many pressure, you know,
noises.
too many people dictating you like what to do, and you know, you should be like this, you should be like that, you shouldn't be, you know, who you are right now. You could be someone more than the person that you are right now. You know, you have people come up to you and they, you know, some people acting like they're trying to, you know, motivate you and all that stuff.
I was going to ask, because it's like there are people that really love you, and
Yes.
like I think, you know, you're here now, but I see in the future
The
you could
potential.
your
Who you
potential,
can be.
and it's encouragement.
Yeah.
But there are people that are trying to box you in for
Yes.
their own vain conceit
Yes.
or their own selfish reasons, because I need Angel to be this. I need, you know,
Yes.
like, imagine if we
Yeah.
have someone like that in our lives, right?
But I'm really grateful for people that is being tough on me, like, you know, pushing me to do better, because I'm not saying like I'm all good and I don't need like people's opinion or people pushing me to be something. But you know, again, but then when I think about my life, I used to have like regrets. Okay, why don't I take this song, and then suddenly, like, you know, a lot of things happened that made me, you know,
Wondering. You know.
regret
Regrets,
a lot of things. And then, but then I think about it again, like I am exactly where I have to be right now,
Yeah, that's true.
right?
That's so true.
That keeps me sane.
Yeah.
And then what I figure out for years of experiencing all this is that I feel like God is more interested in my character than
Oh, yes.
my talent.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
No, yeah.
I feel my voice is always there, you know, my voice is always there. And, you know, throughout my singing journey, it was so amazing. I never planned to be, you know, what's Indonesian called it, like penyanyi rohani, let's say something like that, to sing like gospel song. I never planned to sing those gospel songs. I did it first hand to help a friend, a good friend of mine, and then suddenly it could be, you know, blessings for a lot of people. And then, you know, I can sing at this one event and they just cry and oh, your voice is so amazing. So what I realized is, you know, my voice is always there. It's not gone. It's something that God, you know, gave me, like
it's a gift.
It's a gift, right?
Yes.
It's for me. So it's not going anywhere. But then why am I not, you know, why am I not evolving? I feel like I'm so failed as a singer, you know, like because I'm 23 now and I still haven't had my own, you know, pop album yet. I have people younger than me that, you know, are a lot more successful than me. But then when I think about it again, like what I just said, but my character's growth is crazy. Like from 4 years ago to now, I am a totally different person.
Oh, I can witness that. Yeah, you've grown so,
I am a totally different person, and I can tell that, you know, God is shaping me in a lot of areas in my life, in a lot of areas in my life, and you know, I will never ever regret that. Maybe my talent, my career can pause for a bit, but I can never get this, you know, like in the future. Like I don't want to get this and get to experience all this when I have husband, when I have kids, you know.
You mean
like,
the working on your character?
the working on my character, the process that I'm going through right now.
The process.
Like I'm so grateful that
so
God gave that early, that I get to experience this early. So that's why I always say to my friends who let's say their parents are divorced, and my friends who are, you know, maybe their parents are bankrupt and they're not as fortunate as like maybe their friends. I always said, like, don't be discouraged, you know? Like it's good that you're going through this process, going through all these difficulties now.
Because it's like you know, being put through the fire and how you actually walk out of it. And because sometimes like those, and that was really good, because some people think like, oh, something hits my life or the job gets taken away. You know, my family is undergoing, you know, brokenness and divorce. I'm broken too. But that's those are circumstances. People forget that your identity, it can be affected by circumstances, but that is, it's not true. This is not true. It's not you.
It is not true.
It will only become you if you allow yourself to internalize that.
To internalize that.
That situation.
And it is being manifested in your life, right?
You believe in that.
You believe in that. And it's like I love like how you brought up that conversation, because I remember very early on in the pandemic, there were a lot of people, I would have friends and they're like, why are you so chill? And I came to that realization where economy working well is very important for everybody. We need to put food on the table. It's a very practical thing. But I started realizing that even a big part of actually identity is many of us look at wealth or whatever, you know, access, I call it access baggage or access clothes that we put on, but those clothes are not necessarily, you know, part of our identity. It's just because someone says so. Oh, you came from a wealthy family and now you're not wealthy anymore, and so you are less. How are you less? And there were so many people so panicking, you know, like what if I was like, what, you're concerned that what if your postcode changed tomorrow? I started telling friends, you know, I said, like, I feel very blessed. I get to live the life I live, but if any moment it gets taken away, I gotta switch to switch my postcode. I'm still myself.
True.
And I think it would be a good filter. You know, who are the people that would stay with you when things come crashing or things get tough? You know, that's how you can. That to me is how I gauge success. It's like when I fall, do people pick me up? When I fall, like, you know, how do people react to me when there are certain layers to what they perceive me to be? Like, oh, okay, would people stop being my friend if, like, now they're like, oh, she's no longer working for the family business. Maybe she, you know, she's of no use to me now.
I was about to say maybe she's no use.
There are a lot of us, you know, facing things like that, and they get concerned. And I remember telling a lot of my friends, I said, by the virtue of how you lived your life, that is the real, to me, like, you know, you wear so many hats, like this convo we're talking about today. And so if you ever fall flat, and you've gone from really, really
high blazing,
to like you're like, oh my God, I lost my house. I don't even know where I'm gonna sleep tonight. I was like, I guarantee you, all of us are gonna open our doors.
For me, I struggled a long time, right? As I told you before, with the concept of like now being a mother and a wife, and like not being able to hold business,
to do your business and
perfect
all
at business at the same time, right? And it took me really long to find like, you know, like when people ask me, so what do you do? And to actually be comfortable in saying, yeah, I have 2 children, and you know, I'm married to so and so, but I didn't want to be defined just, I mean, you know, like in a way, like sometimes people would introduce me, oh, this is the wife of so and so, right? And then they were like suddenly so nice to me, and I hated that, and I still hate it. I don't want to be introduced as the wife of.
Yes.
Just I am a wife. I totally am happy with that role, being a wife. I chose that, and I love being a wife. But I don't want to be defined by she is the wife of, right? Because it's just not. I have a name.
I
you know,
remember
I have a
that
name.
bothered me when I was like, wow, Viola, like, and I even told your husband, and I was like, this is, you know, a time will come, and maybe the time is now where I'm really sorry. I don't want my friend to be referred to the wife of you, because you're both really, you know, lovely people, and you're both like.
she's that amazing.
Yeah,
Oh,
she is
thank
that
you.
amazing.
Thank you.
People don't have enough information about that.
I mean, I understand.
You should know her personally.
But I mean, I understand that people need to make connections and understand the world around them. So to introduce me as that, I understand that. But I also, then I thought, what is the replacement of that? What would make me feel more comfortable? And I felt like I could come up with all these titles for myself with what I'm doing, you know, like how you describe a beautiful picture, and like you make it sound really artsy, and you give it the title of blah, 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 right? You describe it in beautiful words, and I could find myself titles with the things that I'm doing in life that would sound really great, and people would be like, oh, wow. But do I want that? Like, do I really want people to feel impressed when they hear what I'm doing? Or do I really just want to be comfortable with myself? So until today, I'm still a bit confused when people ask me, so what do you do? What do I answer? Like, I'm like, oh, you know, like sometimes I try to distract, sometimes I give like the simplest answer. So I want to see their reaction of just based on if I'm just a nobody. How do they treat me, right? Like, how do they behave around me? Or do they only, you know, do they only smile at me and respect me when I give a title? And I feel like we should all treat each other that way. Like, it doesn't matter what you do or where you come from or how much money you made or how much money your family makes, you know, which area you live in. If we could just treat each other with respect and love, then we wouldn't have that need to always prove that we're worthy of being respected. There's such a need for being respected, and we always think we need to earn it. But if we would just do that for each other based on not on performance or money or status.
But I think the need of people's validation is gonna ruin you in a way. I mean, that's very human of us, right? That's very human.
Like, validation is okay. It gives us
not the validation.
But who validates you?
No, I
acceptance.
I feel validation to certain things is good because it help us. Like, for example, I mean, let's not talk about just character alone. Even your growth as a singer in the 4 years. I remember it was sometime, like, was it last year or I've always heard you sing, and then I walked up to you because I love singing too, and I was like, oh my God, Angel, you've grown as a singer. Right, and people just think even in your singing prowess, it just needs to be like, oh, it's she's won this championship, as if you don't win another, you don't go on some other singing competition, you're not going to become a better singer. But those, like, I think when someone comes in and say like, oh, you're good at something, it's great. But when they don't tell you you're good, it doesn't, it doesn't affect.
It's not crumble you.
It doesn't crumble, and I think like character that you were saying is so important.
Or
what
something,
is it?
or beyond. You need to talk to yourself like, who are you?
When you go to bed at night and you just feel like I'm okay with myself. I feel my heart is in the right place. I have loved people well. I have given my best care for the people I care for. I was nice to the cashier today when she messed up.
Oh my God,
and I waited for 10 minutes until she, I mean, it's those kind of things. Like, at the end of the day, do you feel okay about yourself? Do you feel like you're a good person.
You feel enough.
Do you feel
Do you
enough?
feel
And
enough
I'm like,
about
and I'm
yourself?
like, I'm enough. Or have I been a good friend, you know? Or have I worked on my relationships? And I feel like that's the character. Like we need to have character in order to be that person,
To
right?
be that person, yeah.
And that takes growth and effort, just like
And
it
effort and years of, you
years
know,
of experiences, you know?
years of going through
going through tough things.
tribulations in your life.
Yeah.
But again, as I always mention for like 1,000 times maybe in front of like everyone, I always say this, you know, this thing always strengthened me in a way of going through like all these tribulations in my life. Like I always believed that we came into this world for a specific purpose, a very specific purpose.
Yes, that's
And
true.
I always, you know, my whole life, I always think that singing is the purpose of my life, right?
Okay.
But then in the middle, I figure out that singing is not the main event.
It's
you
a
know,
way.
it's not the main event
that's so
in the
good.
season
Yeah.
of life,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's not the main event. So, you know, sometimes you get blurry because all you think is like, you know, your ambition and your plans and your expectation.
I totally relate.
Yeah. And then you get, and then the things get blurry. Right? Your purpose gets blurry. Your vision gets blurry. Sometimes, yeah, that's what I experience, you know, like then I realize, oh, my purpose right now is to help my family, is even to help myself, is even to be, you know, to be blessings for other people.
Yeah.
Right? To be a helping hand for, you know, people surrounding me, right? But then I figure out that then the singing itself doesn't, you know, if someone came up to me and like, oh, you haven't made an album yet, oh, you haven't this, you haven't that does not really bother me and my identity because I know for sure that in this season of life right now, like my focus and my purpose is not for that. It's for other things.
Yeah.
You know, so I should be focusing on that because I experienced like myself. I experienced this myself. Like when I try to ignore this purpose, like what you just mentioned before, right? Like I just want to go to work. I just want to this. Imagine like, you know, oh, I don't care about, you know, I don't care about this problem. I don't care about my family. I don't care about
just want to
whoever.
pursue.
I'm just gonna use like all my money and everything for my ambition, you know, to make a song, to make this, to make that, blah, blah, blah. Because I used to be so intimidated by my surroundings, by what people's expectation, even my own expectation.
Our own expectation.
Yeah, I used to get really intimidated with that. But then again, I remind myself that it's important, you know, not just to think about my career, my ambition, you know, but also to think about why am I here? Why am I singing? Why? The why.
The why, yes.
The whys, right? The whys. And then when you are clear about why you are doing it, then this thing will follow, you know?
the success will follow.
And then you will feel enough, actually.
You will feel
enough. You will feel enough.
Because sometimes we gotta surrender, you know, we can't just do and force things to happen. Because I've tried it, like I use all my power and everything, you know, to pursue my career, to buy songs, to meet this person, to meet that person. But it doesn't work that way. I feel like when I focus more on why am I doing this, on my purpose, on helping people, on this, on that, but our purpose can be different, okay? Don't just
of course.
It's not always about helping people. You have a specific purpose in your life. But then when you really focus on that, then this thing follows, you know, then it's just, you know, it flows so effortlessly, like, and then I get to meet this person, and then we got to hook up and do this. It's so effortless. It's so different from like...
Yeah, when you're forcing things, or when I think the why is so important too, because once you have a clear, like, understanding of who your real identity really are, all the amalgamation that we discussed today, you have that great confidence, and that's how confidence comes by, right? You walk with confidence because you know who you are inside. Once you really know who you are inside and your vision of why you're here, what your purpose is, all that decisions, every pursuit, you know, your pursuit of anything, your ambition, your dreams, personal, professional, has a compass. It comes back to that. That makes decision a lot less stressful.
Yes.
Because you no longer have to prove to someone to define certain identity, because you're not performing for someone. You're living for your vision. You're living for what you're made of.
And those identities that you mentioned before, like when you have that confidence, you no longer have the need to explain or even to feel like
to justify to someone.
to justify to someone that, hey, I am a singer. Like, hey, I am a very successful entrepreneur. You know.
Yeah.
And then when some other people like do better than you know, I really feel that when I see, you know, I used to feel so intimidated when someone like did a lot better than me. Even sometimes I still train myself to, you know, be okay with it. You know, I mean, we're all human.
Yes, of course.
It's just normal. But then when you have that confidence in you, when you know that, when you realize, oh, I am not the same person as I am a few years ago, maybe something like that, or you know, I am full, I am content. Then,
enough.
you know, when someone is doing better than you, you don't feel the need to rush and run and go to their level or catch up to their timeline.
And you're actually genuinely happy for that person too. Yeah.
You can say, oh wow, I'm so happy about your success. And I feel that's missing in our life, this joy for other people. And you know, it's a real joy if you can join in the happiness of another person, even if they're doing a certain job better than you, right?
Correct.
But at that moment, when you can genuinely feel, I'm happy for this person, then it becomes your own joy. And that is for you, you know?
Okay, so I don't want people to think that they cannot have ambitions or goals or expectation or whatsoever it is. Of course you can have one, right? But then you need to remember like these conversations that we just had in order for you to like in the middle of your journey, right? You need to remember these things about your identity, about your, you know, like how do we, like the things that we discussed,
who we are, owning it.
Because those things are very crucial to the point that it can affect you, it can ruin you, it can even stop you from doing your purpose, your real purpose.
And actually becoming, to break through to your next success.
Yeah, I think what you were just saying about ambition, having ambition is not wrong. So I just want to tell people, if you have an ambition, go for it. But don't let your ambition define who you are. I think that is the right way.
So good.
How can she just summarize everything into that word and then explains everything?
Don't let your ambition define who you are.
Because sometimes there's an ambition, there's a purpose. Sometimes what you are doing is just a way to achieving your purpose. So like you mentioned, singing. Singing, you thought singing is your purpose, but maybe singing is just a tool or a way for you to achieving your purpose.
Wow.
So being ambitious is okay, but don't let your ambition defining yourself. Because one day, maybe you change your ambition, or maybe you change what you want to have, you know, maybe you change your direction, but it doesn't change you. You are still you, who you are inside. So I think just think about it, you know, just reflecting yourself. If people asking you who you are, do you actually really know who you are inside? I think that is what is the most important thing.
I think so. Well, thank you so much, ladies, for so much like deep,
for delicious cake.
And like so great hanging out. Like there's so much insights, and I learned so much today, and even being I feel more confident in my own convictions based on our conversations today. My key takeaways is that there is a season for every walk and every moment in your life. You will have your moments, and every moment, whether they're good or whether they're bad, happy or sad, they built you. They are, you know, amalgamation of who you are. I really hope that we've been able to trigger some insights that, you know, you can have deeper thoughts with. We hope that you enjoyed spending time with us at the Powder Room today.
And don't forget to click the subscribe button, and so you can always receive our latest videos and our latest talks. And please comment below if there's anything you want us to talk about in particular. We would love to explore that. And don't forget to also follow us. Thank you very much for listening today. We hope we inspired you. Have a wonderful week.
Lots of love.
Once again, thank you,
Thank
Angel,
you.
for being
Thank you,
here.
Angel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So glad to have you.